Today we're looking at the return of one of Gibson's best acoustic guitars, the J-185, and we're comparing it to another popular Gibson in the price range and lineup, the SJ-200 Studio Rosewood. You don't want to miss it. Check it out. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name is Chris McKee.
And I'm Cooper Greenberg.
We're here with Alamo Music Center in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos, and if you'd like to support the channel, make sure to visit our Teespring store linked below for our custom designed t-shirts. So Cooper.
Yes, sir.
We got two Gibson Jumbos.
A couple little guys, a couple of huge guitars.
You kind of feel it, don't you?
Yeah, that's all right.
Let me play some jumbo for you. Just give me a hand over here. Yeah. Okay, we're perfectly comfortable. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But I'm really actually excited about this. I was excited to order this guitar when it became available. The Gibson J-185 is considered to be one of the most popular Gibson acoustics that has been made, and Gibson has kind of reissued it under the original line of acoustic guitars and going back to its 1950s roots. But I couldn't help but notice when I was looking at it that if you look on the modern side of their acoustic catalog, there's another jumbo that's very similar in ways, mostly to do with the price point.
Yeah.
These guitars cost the exact same amount. It's about $34.99 currently. You know, price is subject to change, so make sure to visit our website, alamomusic.com, for the latest price on these guitars. But they're both jumbo Gibsons, and then that's about where it stops. There's a lot different between these guitars. And so given the money, which one is right for you? I think that's a great kind of discussion to have here.
Yeah, I think that's, it's interesting because we've seen SJ-200s non-studio just from the original collection, and I think you compared them to a 818, possibly?
Yes. Yeah. And the 618, actually, I think, yeah, the 618 because it's maple.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, Taylor's big kind of grand orchestra, deeper even. You want to talk about little guys and a big guitar. You know, it's kind of the opposite of the fat guy in the little coat. Yeah.
But they're awesome.
Either
awesome
way,
guitars. Yeah, they're amazing. But I had yet to play a studio SJ-200 until today. So it's nice to have one. I think it looks really nice. And previously I'd been more used to studios and their electric guitars, and I haven't gotten the chance to play a lot of their studio acoustics, but I do think it's a little different, you know, a little different in a lot of ways, but that's just my opinion. Go on.
Okay. Well, you know, let's talk about the studio for a bit, because the studios in Gibson's lineup tend to, whether it's acoustic or electric, follow a certain formula, and that is that they tend to be a little bit more modern. They tend to strip down the unnecessary things, okay? So you're not going to have fancy inlays, you may not have, you know, bright white binding, all of these things to kind of get it focused so that you can get more value out of the guitar. And one of the reasons that I really like this particular studio is that it has rosewood back and sides. Now rosewood, if you're not familiar, when paired with Sitka spruce, gives you just a fantastic acoustic tone, and that's why it's very popular in a lot of acoustic guitars. You have a lot of that volume from the top, particularly in a jumbo-sized instrument that can really handle a heavy-handed strum, and the rosewood gives you a lot of chime on the high end and also a lot of rich, deep bass with a scooped-out mid-range. Now, a lot of singer-songwriters like that pairing because it complements your voice that typically inhabits that mid-range frequency, so you're not really fighting with the guitar. So it's a great guitar to sing with, it's a great guitar to get up there and kind of have a good strummer, whether it's for folk, rock, country music, what have you. It can really fit that need well, and it's, you know, your classical Gibson super jumbo guitar.
Oh yeah.
You know, which I really like. There's a lot of confusion. You know, we were talking to Nick, one of our staff here at Alamo Music, about these, and he said Southern Jumbo. And, you know, that's kind of a thing with Gibson, right? You've got your jumbos, and then you've got your jumbos, and then you've got your jumbos. And even with these two guitars, it's why this is a fun comparison, because these are both jumbos, but they're not the same jumbo.
Yeah.
That guitar is actually slightly bigger than this guitar. It's more like a regular SJ-200, whereas the J-185 is a little smaller. But I digress, back to studios. So you can get this guitar with a few different tonewoods, but I really like rosewood. I like this pairing. And, you know, with the modern appointments, you get the modern tuners, you get electronics on board, you get those things. That's kind of what the studio idea is all about.
Yeah.
On the other side of the spectrum, and this is why I love that Gibson has separated their lineups, you have the more vintage, original styled instrument. Now, this guitar does have electronics in it. It has an LR Baggs VTC system, like that one with its Fishman Sonotone pickup system. So these are both plug-and-play ready. But outside of that, all of the appointments, the whole style and the build of this guitar are like the original 50s guitars that it's based upon. So the J-185 is a little smaller than your typical jumbo, which means it's a little bit more comfortable for guys of smaller stature like you and I who aren't going to be dunking on anybody in the NBA anytime soon. But you'll see in some of the appointments, like that one has your classic Grover, kidney bean style tuners. This one has the Kluson, kind of antique plastic button tuners on it. The aesthetics, the burst that's available on this, and of course the fact that it is maple back and sides, just like an SJ-200. And so in a lot of ways, you can think of the J-185 as a slightly more affordable version of a SJ-200, less appointments. You don't have the very fancy pick guard and things like that, and it is slightly smaller. It's not like they're really small jumbos. That goes back to the Gibsons with the jumbos, right?
Yeah.
A J-45 is technically a jumbo. But this is more close to a regular size jumbo, a little bit more manageable, and it has some things that it gives you as a result of that. So let's talk about feel on that one. How does it feel on the neck and the scale and everything?
It feels good. I know that it has a little bit longer scale than this one, correct? It's balanced well. I'm more surprised with the depth of it because it is a little thinner than I kind of imagined when bringing it out, and that makes it more comfortable than one might expect with a super jumbo guitar. The neck feels great. Just kind of the radius is super flat on this one.
Well, it's more traditional of a typical acoustic guitar that we think of. Now, here's what's interesting. This is almost like Gibson kind of flopping around on, flipping conventions on its head. This has some more modern appointments, which means that from a traditional acoustic standpoint, they're almost more traditional, right? This has a 25.5-inch scale length, not out of the ordinary in acoustic guitars. That's what you'll find on a lot of Taylors and a lot of Martins. It has a 16-inch radius. Again, not out of the ordinary for acoustic guitars. It's pretty much what you'll find on most Taylor necks. 15, 16-inch radius is where Martin and Taylor live. So in that regard, it's in a lot of ways more traditional, but that follows kind of a modern establishment for Gibson in this regard, because traditional Gibson, which is what this is, they were different. This is a shorter scale length, which goes with a smaller body. So this is 24.75-inch scale length. Now, if you don't know what that means that the measurement from the nut to the saddle, that vibrating length, is shorter. That means that the tension on the strings is lower, feels a little bit better, and all the frets are a little closer together. That also has an attribute for the sound of the guitar. Shorter scale length guitars have a little bit of a warmer sound to them because the harmonics are a little closer together. And of course, they feel really good. Chet Atkins, I think, famously said that short scale guitars allowed him to play much further in his career, than he probably otherwise would be able to. And so short scale guitars certainly have their fans. Long scale, though, shouldn't be left out in the cold. It has a lot of benefits to it. That higher tension allows you to really lay into it, which is beneficial on a jumbo-sized guitar. And it tends to have a little bit of a brighter response that's going to cut through that mix because those harmonics are spread out a little bit further. Again, that tension is going to allow you to change tunings a little bit better, all of these things. And so most of my guitars are actually longer scale. I have some that are shorter scale. I like them both for those reasons. Yeah. But that's definitely a difference, when you're playing this one versus when you're playing this one.
Yeah.
And you said something before we started, how noticeably different the size of these instruments are.
Yeah, so it's strange because when you put them back to back like we did right before we shot this, it's not that drastic.
You're right, it's very subtle.
It's very subtle of a difference in how the size difference. But I pulled this one out of the warehouse this morning and I picked it up to play it, and it just felt kind of wrong to me to start, because I see this jumbo-sized guitar, but it feels in the hand much smaller than it probably actually is.
All wrong in the right way.
It is fantastic. No, I really enjoyed this
What'd you say
guitar.
about this guitar? Just honestly, you said something to me. You sat on the stool playing this guitar, and you're like,
That it was great?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's awesome. I forget my exact words. Did I say something funky about it?
no, you said something. Maybe it's fine. You said something pretty exclamatory about it, like you were excited about this guitar.
Yeah. No, it's great. I did say that I haven't played a studio SJ-200. I also had not played a J-185.
And not many people have. 'Cause
Yeah.
these have not been in production, despite them kind of having a following for a while.
I looked it up on Gibson's website, and it said one of our most famous acoustics, and I was like, I'm sure, because I've heard a ton about these. Not really, but they said, though not known by many, that is something that the J-185 player enjoys about it. That it's, you talked about, what was the secret weapon Martin?
The M36.
M36. That's kind of a best kept secret to a certain degree. This might fall into that same category as somewhat of an unorthodox choice for when you think Gibson Acoustic, but it was a joy to pick up because it feels small, sounds huge, and I love the aesthetics on it. And everything.
Well, and you know why that this is my theory on it. I do think that you're right. This follows that same formula of being kind of the secret weapon, so to speak, the unsung hero. And one of the reasons is that they are so often mistaken for J200s when people are on stage playing them. And the telltale sign usually is the cross inlays that are on the bridge. Will usually be the dead giveaway along with the split parallelogram inlays. But if you didn't know that, you'd see a sunburst spruce maple jumbo in the hands of somebody, and you wouldn't know any better.
Yeah.
You'd say that's a J200. That's less ornate. And so I think they've kind of flown under the radar, but Gibson's spot on, and the reaction that you had to it, where it feels smaller than it is. It plays smaller in ways, kind of from a comfort standpoint, and then sounds so big at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think this combination, I talked about how great Rosewood is on a jumbo guitar. Well, there's a nice thing about having maple. Maple is a very transparent wood. I know a lot of you guys are out there and you've heard this lie that I'm going to just debunk, that maple is bright. Maple's not bright. Maple's very transparent. What maple does is it very accurately will portray both the builder's intentions with the instrument from their design and bracing and all of that, as well as the player's style. So if you have a bright style, if you play really close to the bridge, that might be more apparent. But what I like about maple guitars, for the same reason that I like maple and spruce for orchestral instruments and mandolins and whatnot, is that it just very accurately represents you as a player. And with that transparency, when you put a slightly shorter scale length to it, that warmth that you get out of it pairs very nicely with this very even frequency response that maple has. And so, I'm a big fan of it, and I love the looks. I really dig the kind of iron cross inlays that are down there. It's very, very cool. So anyways, I'm glad that this is back in Gibson's lineup, and we're a fan of the studios because they're just fantastic instruments. So at the same price, if you're looking for a jumbo Gibson, these are probably going to end up in your on your two tabs on your website, in your browser, comparing back and forth. Well, that's going to give you the story of the specs. We want to give you the story of the feel and the sound. So we're going to do that second part now. So check it out as we compare the SJ-200 Studio Rosewood with the J-185. So there you have it. Hopefully you can hear the differences. There are some stark differences between the sound of these guitars, both based upon their scale length, their kind of the structure, and the tone woods that we've got. Now I'm holding the Rosewood one. You've got the Maple 185. Mm-hmm. We're about the same size. Does this one look about the same? Yeah, roughly. Does this guitar make my butt look big?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, in all the right ways. No, but seriously, these are fantastic guitars, and I'm a big fan of Gibson jumbos. Mm-hmm. I've kind of for a long time looked longingly at a J-200. Just full on wondered if will I add one of those to my collection at some point. But for me, I think there's a big case where I start looking at the J-185 and going, that might be the perfect guitar for me.
Yeah.
Now, if I was wanting, however, more bass out of it, if I was wanting kind of a more traditional, the neck on there is very much like a Les Paul neck.
Yeah.
You realize that?
Yeah.
Scale length's the same, carve's the same, radius is the same.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting something that kind of feels like that, that certainly checks all of the boxes. But if you're wanting that Gibson sound and feel and jumbo look, and you're looking for a little bit more low-end, high-end, and kind of modern guitar appointments, you really would have difficulty going wrong with this. And I will say, I do love the mustache bridge.
That's cool.
From these,
Yeah.
That's just fantastic look. So.
And as paired with the end of the fretboard down there.
Yeah, that it's so great when this all ties together because the end, that little peak on the fretboard follows the graduated crown inlays up the neck. It's a great look.
It is. Also, I might encourage you, if you have not, when we're talking about deeper cuts in the Gibson Acoustic lineup, you've done some videos on the Southern Jumbo, the LG2. So again, if you're maybe looking for a J45 but want something that's a little bit different, that might, to an untrained eye, be somewhat unrecognizable except for some aesthetic differences, Southern Jumbo is great, LG2 is great, and they've been added back into the lineup with a lot of really cool stuff that Gibson's done in their acoustic line. So check those out.
Yeah, Gibson's, if anyone from Gibson's watching this, by the way, kudos for going out and adding some things. On the electric line, they're doing this. They're doing this even with Epiphone. The ES345 is back now, which it's like, that was out of production for a bit, and everyone knows the 335, and but that's a really cool guitar. So yeah, great shout out. Some of these deep cut acoustic guitars. Don't be afraid to get a guitar that just doesn't have maybe the name recognition of something else. That's not why you should buy a guitar. You definitely check them out, watch our channel, do your homework, find the right guitar to suit your needs. But yeah, I'm totally thrilled they've brought that guitar back. Mm-hmm. And I love that it's a nice pairing with this one. Same price, Gibson's doing it right. You get to choose the guitar that best suits your needs. All right?
That's the goal at the end of the day. On this channel, we're going to help you find the one that suits you because the best guitar
is the one you're making music on.
We switched that one up. That was the first time we've done that one.
Yeah. No, but truly, the best guitar in the world is the one you're making music on. And we say that with purpose because we don't want you to buy a guitar that sits there. We don't want you to buy the wrong guitar and be disenchanted from it. We want you to really to buy that guitar that's going to bring you hours of just joy playing music. Honestly, truth be told, watch our videos and buy from someone else. That's cool as long as you end up getting the right guitar at the end of the day. And buy from us, that's cool too.
We'll beat the price. We'll do it.
So anyways, if you're new to our channel, that's what we're all about. If you haven't done so, please subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos. We've got a goal. I'm trying to get this up to 100,000 followers. When we started not knowing anything, I never thought we'd have over 60,000 followers. So thank you guys for being part of this great community. But if you haven't done so, subscribe. Help us get those numbers up. We are going to keep bringing you more stuff. We've got some great plans, some exciting stuff that we're going to be doing, some crazy harebrained schemes as well. So keep coming back for more. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.